Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Hello and welcome, everybody. It's Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal and psychic talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Luci Leibfried in Chicago, and my co-host who isn't here tonight, Anthony Agati. Anthony's not with us tonight because he did have a death in the family, so we're sending all of our thoughts and love to Anthony, and just kind of keep him in your prayers, but he'll be with us. He'll be back with us next week, and we're going to continue. So we did postpone next week our Ouija debate. So tonight we decided just to let me loose. So I'm totally unsupervised. I'm totally unsupervised, and you got to bear with me tonight because I'm going to try to run the board. I'm going to try to take calls, and I'm going to try to do readings. So if you are a first-time listener, I'm Luci. I'm here in Chicago. I'm a tarot card reader. So we thought that, just open up the lines, let people call in, get a free mini reading, a 3-card tarot card reading. Or, we could just open up the lines, and if you've got any questions, if there's a psychic question that you have, about tarot card reading, about readings, maybe about one of our psychic shows that we just had. We had the most amazing January. We had 5 really, really brilliant people join us, and they kind of gave us a taste of, what their gifts are, and I was totally excited. I know the feedback that we got on it was wonderful. So we've got some people on hold right now waiting for readings. But if you have a question, call in. The line, there's a few lines open. The phone number is 661-244-9831. I'll try to get to you as soon as I can. Don't forget that you can always send us an email with future topics that you'd like to see on the show. Or if you just want to say hi, the email address is paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com. And last but not least, you please check us out on our Facebook show page and on our YouTube channel for more info on the paranormal and upcoming shows. So, I'm stuck here in frigid Chicago. I don't know what the weather is like around you. It has been a really, really freaky winter so far. We're sitting on almost 58 inches of snow here in Chicago. It has been below zero for probably the last 20 days. I don't know if people believe in global warming, but this sure isn't. Mercury is also in retrograde, so kind of like energy is kind of weird. Everything, when Mercury's in retrograde, it's kind of like you want to avoid making big decisions. There's going to be a lot of little weird things that happen. So if there's a particular question that you've got that you want a reading for, anything that you want to discuss, if you got a question, give us a call, 661-244-9831. So I think what we'll do right now, we've got a couple people in. So I'm going to go straight to the phone lines, and we're going to take our first caller. And This is a familiar number. Let's go to area code 780. Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, you're the one I demanded the show go on.
For everyone out there, this is the queen of the super fans. This is Connie. And Connie, thank you so much for calling in tonight, honey. You're calling in for your mini reading, correct?
Oh, okay. I suppose we'll do a mini.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle up the cards, and I'm trying not to shuffle close to the microphone so it doesn't block everything out. But I want you to think about the question that you have in mind. Let's see what we have. We'll pull up cards, and then we'll see.
Good.
And I'm only jumping into this right away because, Connie, I know you might have to leave. So I wanted to get this done for you. Okie dokie. So let's cut this 3 times, and let's see what we've got. Wow. Okay, first card that we get for you. Now, the 3-card mini reading usually goes with past, present, and future. So for you, Connie, first card is the 9 of Swords, but it's reversed. So it's almost like coming out of a period of like just being tired and miserable. It's almost like a situation hasn't been exactly the way you want it to be. It's almost like, you know, how much more can I take? And then it's like it's changing. It's time to come out of that. Your present card is the 9 of Cups, but it's reversed, okay? Happiness, emotional happiness is around you, but basically it's not quite where you want to be. It's almost like everything can be better. Everything can be more perfect. The outcome card is the Lovers, but it's reversed. So pretty much it's on like relationships. It's almost like you kind of got to pay attention to the relationships that you have, especially the big, deep emotional relationships. Whatever is around you, it's like almost like your support system is there, but it's almost like you have to pay attention to that too. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. I'm debating on leaving my job.
Mhm. Well,
and,
I pulled one more card for you. It's the Queen of Wands reversed. You're a lot of thinking, and whatever's crossing around you is almost like it's clouding your thinking. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Before you make a decision, honestly, see, you're getting all these, like you get the 6 of Cups reversed. It's almost like before you really do make a decision, you got to think very, very deeply of what you want. It's almost like it's not just you in this decision. It's definitely your other half that's going to be in the decision too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
That everything makes sense.
2 of Coins reversed, okay? It may seem like there are 2 choices. Did you apply for more than one job?
No.
Okay.
No, just one.
2 of Coins, there's going to be a choice. There's going to be a choice of either possibly staying where you're at or actually going to the new place. Before you make that decision, you got to put everything out on the table. And this thing is really pointing towards your other half, okay? Definitely there has to be that communication. It's got to be, it's not just you. This is a partnership deal. So look to your support system, listen to what they have to say, and then make your decision. Make sense?
I have to?
Yes,
yes,
honey,
it makes total sense.
Okay?
Thank you, Lucy.
You're welcome, darling. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll talk to you later. I love you too, honey. Okay, bye-bye. Bye. Okay, guys, I just wanted to get that one out of the way because I knew Connie may have to leave us. If you are interested in getting a full reading, yes, I do have a website. It's tarotreadingswithlucy.com, and you can find me on Facebook And you can always find me on the Paranormal Review radio page. So, phone lines are open, 661-244-9831. That was just a little taste. When I do a reading for someone, I usually go into a 10-card spread. Been doing a lot of really interesting readings this past month or so. It's been a lot of changes coming up. I mean, 2014 definitely seems to be the year of change. And I know we talked about this, both Anthony and I. We did that burning bowl ceremony at the beginning of the year. I kind of think for me that set the tone. It is definitely a year of change. It's a year of good things. You know, no matter how much is going on around us in the world, it's almost like underneath all of that, there is definitely something good coming. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a feeling that I'm having, and I'm sure a lot of the people that I've been talking to, they seem to have that same sense too. It's almost like a time of shedding. So, is there a particular question that you've got? Call in, 661-244-9831. Also, too, you know, next weekend is Valentine's Day. Got any questions about that love life, about the romance? Let's see what the cards say. So, let's go. We've got another caller on the line, and this one, let's see, she's been on the line for 16 minutes. This is Jamie. Jamie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, honey. How you doing?
Hi. I'm okay.
Cool. Okay, we're going to get your little reading started. What I want you to do is I want you to concentrate on your question. Pretty much how I work. I usually shuffle up the cards, and I tell you what the cards tell me, and then we can go into questions, okay? So just concentrate on what you were thinking of, and I'm trying really hard not to shuffle these cards next to the microphone. See, I'm unsupervised tonight. Usually Anthony's the one that tells me, you know, when I'm doing something wrong. But tonight it's like I can get in trouble. Okay, let's see what we got here. So, let's cut these 3 times, and let's see what we got for Jamie.
Something good, I hope.
Okay, Jamie. We got first card is the 4 of Cups. Okay, 4 of Cups it's an emotional card. It's a card of kind of like looking, it's retrospect, looking at the way emotions have been, almost like maybe something passionate that you've been about, and just kind of like taking stock of where you're at. I know I really want to do this, and this is what makes my heart beat, but it's almost like kind of finding that, I don't know, it's almost like making the excuses why something would not work. Okay? Now, the card that is crossing you right now for the situation now is the Tower, but it's reverse. There's some kind of change, and it's a big change, and I don't know if it's something that you really, really want, but the Tower being reversed refers to something kind of slow. It's definitely a change that you want to happen in your life, but it's not happening fast enough. And the one thing that I want to point back to that first card, it's almost like very possibly you may be holding yourself back from this change. And it's almost like, I don't know, I want to say like, are you holding back from something because you don't think it's not going to work, or it's almost like a situation like, well, I'll never do that, or I shouldn't do that. Now, your outcome card.
My biggest problem is, I don't know, self-confidence maybe?
It could be. It could be self-doubt. Does it have anything to do with relationships, your question?
No.
Okay. Well, your last card is the 2 of Cups, but it's reversed. Almost in Connie's situation, where it was like you have to look to the other partner for that bond. The 2 of Cups points towards relationships, but it points towards maybe not focusing on the whole relationship. Now, it doesn't always mean romantic. Sometimes it can be a business relationship. Sometimes it can be a learning situation. Does this make sense at all?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, what was your question?
Just about the main thing I was focusing on was about career-wise. I didn't really have a specific question, just anything about career, if it was going to be more of what I thought. I don't know.
Okay. Main thing that I can do, to put these cards into perspective for a professional, for job-wise, okay? The Four of Cups in the reverse is almost like maybe not, it's like you have potential, but it's almost like you kind of like stop yourself from doing what you really want to do. And the Tower card reverse is also you're in a situation right now where if you really want to make a job change or a career change, you can do it, but something is holding you back. I really suspect that it's yourself, okay?
Yeah.
The Two of Cups reversed points towards maybe not being totally satisfied. So what I'm getting from the cards here is that in order to emotionally be satisfied, you do have to make the change. You do have to push forward. Let me pull another card to see what it says. Yeah, if you push forward, your next card is the Sun. That's happiness. That's everything falling into place. So are there doubts about what you want to do? I mean, are you looking to change your career completely, or is it just like maybe changing the job?
No, I just graduated a year ago, and I just haven't been able to find anything. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm not looking right for the right jobs, or maybe I'm not
stop you
more
right there.
adventurous.
I need to stop you right there. You've got to stop saying, maybe I'm doing something not right. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Okay? Because when we vocalize things like that, when we think it happens. The universe gives you what you want. So you've got to almost change that thinking to, I am going to find that job. The perfect job for me is out there. What I want to do in my field is there. I can do this. It's almost like just a simple matter of changing your thought pattern. Instead of thinking, I don't know what I'm doing, you got to change it to, I know what I'm doing. It's almost like manifesting every day, saying, thank you for the job that is in my field and that will satisfy my needs.
I believe that way. I guess I haven't been doing that about this.
You need to try it. You just need to kind of like put the energy out there that perfect job is there, and it's going to be within your field, and it's going to be monetary satisfying. Because the Two of Cups points towards emotional satisfaction. Whatever job you need to do has to be emotionally satisfying. Otherwise, it's just a job. That's the difference between a job and a career.
That's how I feel.
Once you push past that thinking, like I said, the next card was the Sun. Okay, Ace of Wands. Maybe it's the way that you're approaching it. Okay, there is definitely some ideas in your head. It's almost like you have to attack it differently. What is going to make you stand out from every other applicant for that job? What is going to make you kind of have that neon light when you walk into that interview that the interviewer looks and says, hey, I found my candidate? What is it that you can offer? It's almost like, yes, I go into an interview, I look for what's going to satisfy me, but what can I offer this employer? What makes me different than every other person that's applying for this job? It's all a matter of the thinking. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I'm going to start focusing on that.
Yeah, see, every card that I put down another card. It's the Four of Wands, and Four of Wands is comfort, it's happiness, it's satisfaction. Basically, once you push past that that change of thought, once you change the thought pattern, the things are going to start to fall in place, okay? I do think that you're going to find a job. I think you're going to find a good job. It may be entry level, but that's okay. You know, you can't expect to go in and to really start at the top. Maybe it might happen, but more likely, because it's the Ace of Wands is beginning. It's going to be a door that's going to open, and it's going to show you a path. That path is going to be where I want to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, good. Was there anything else that you were wondering about?
No, that's been like on my mind for a long time. That's weighing me down, you know.
Yeah. What was your major?
Interior designer.
Oh, see, that's awesome. The Ace of Wands.
And here in Indiana, there's just not, it seems like there's not a lot of job offerings, like if I would go to a bigger city, but I don't want to move. So I'm just...
Where in Indiana are you? Like, are you close to a bigger, a big metro area?
I'm just Evansville.
Okay. You're not that far. You're not that
huge.
far from Chicago. You know, it's a matter of your portfolio. I mean, it's a matter of your ideas. Remember, you've got the Internet. You can do a lot online. You know, have you thought of, you know, again, the way that you approach things? Have you thought about doing something online? Have you thought about, you know, rather than the face-to-face? It's like kind of getting those ideas out there. It can start with something small. You know, just maybe a website, maybe something to showcase what you can do.
Yeah, I guess just something's been holding me back. Like, I just want approval or something. It's hard to explain, I guess.
You have to start with you. The first
like without
and
school
most...
and the straight A's, that gave me satisfaction, you know? That gave me approval. But now that I'm on my own, I'm like, oh, no.
Okay, so you're used to that. You're used to seeing, you know, the A's, and you're used to getting the approval. So now you're going out there, you're looking for a job. It's like, okay, I'm not seeing what I want. You can't change that attitude. You've got to keep the attitude that, yes, I am good. I am amazing. It's the thought pattern. It's definitely the thought pattern. Once you change that thought pattern, it's going to fall into place. It really will.
Okay. Yeah, I do believe in that. You know, I try to use that when it comes to being happy with the kids or how my day is going to go and visualizing stuff. But I just haven't really, I guess I just downsize myself when it comes to my career.
And your career is actually, that's a big part of you. It's what you went to school for. It's what you want to do. You have to give yourself, like I'm reading the chat room, Sharon said, you have to give yourself approval first.
Yeah.
Okay? Excellent.
Yeah. I do.
Right,
I want to focus on that too and work on it.
I
Thank
wish you
so
the
much.
best of luck. Keep me posted. Let me know how you're doing. I want to see big things from you because I know that you're capable of doing it.
Okay, I will. I must work on that tonight, you know, when I get some quiet time and just try to focus on that throughout the day.
Even if it's just a couple minutes every day. You got to do it. Pat yourself on the back. All right?
All right, thank you.
You're awesome. Thanks, dear.
All right, bye.
Okie dokie. You know, that's so hard. Sometimes, like, we hold ourselves back because we doubt our own self-ability. And I'm a true believer in manifesting. I'm a true believer in what you say is what manifests. So when we sit there and we think, you know, I can't do this, I'm not finding this, for me, I totally did a 180 career change. I had been in insurance before. I was doing workers' comp. I was totally dissatisfied with it. I was seeing all kinds of things that I just wasn't happy with. And it just so happened that I went into sales. I am a licensed insurance broker now. And I've never done sales in my life, but it was almost like this attitude is like, well, you know what? I can talk to people. I understand. I can listen. And those two things have helped me. And I'm actually in a career now that I'm enjoying and that I'm doing. But for the longest time, it was like it took so long to find that job because I kept saying, okay, after all this time in one job, I couldn't do it. It was once I changed the thought patterns. And we have a chance to do that. A lot of us really do. We have the negative thought patterns and we hold ourselves back. And sometimes that's the biggest obstacle that we have. It's not what's being put in front of us. You know, if there's a boulder in front of you, I always use the analogy. You can't move the boulder. You can't climb over it, but you can walk around it. So there are different ways of looking at things. And the one thing that I really love about the tarot cards, it's not that I am, again, I've always said this, I believe that everybody can do this. I believe everybody has that intuition. We all have it. If you're a parent, you know when your child is awake. Every little noise, you just know. That's that intuition. That's part of your psychic ability. Everybody has it. Everybody has feelings. Everyone gets hunches. It's just that we don't all tune into it. And I think part of this awakening, and we've talked about it on the show, it's a time where I think everybody is coming very, very close to learning what their abilities are. I mean, it's very exciting. I think this is a super exciting time to be alive. You know, no matter what goes on in the world, it boils down to us. You know, what we think. It all starts with you. It all starts with how you feel. Before you can change the world, you have to change yourself. So, and I'm not saying that you have to totally give up on all of your beliefs or anything. It's just keeping that positive thought. So, let's go back to the phones, and we have another one of the super fans. We've got Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Lucy. How are you?
I'm fine, darling. Thank you so much for calling in. For anyone listening,
thank you.
Oh, it is such an honor to read for you. I mean, we talk to each other and chat every week. I mean, this is actually the first time that we've spoken.
Yes, it is.
So, thank you,
I don't
darling.
usually get to call. It's not usually very quiet around here at night. I have a lot of interruptions.
Well, I'm so glad that you made it. So,
You're
I'm going to
funny.
shuffle
You're the
up.
queen.
Yep. Well, if she's the queen, you're the duchess. Okay?
Thank you.
So, let's shuffle up. Let's see what we've got. And I want you to think about the things that are important to you right now. Now, let's see what the cards come up with, okay?
We certainly would like to see what that is.
Okay, for anybody listening out there, if you have a question, if you want to get a mini reading, if you have a question about the show, if you have a question about us, phone lines are open. What's on your mind? Call in. Let's show Anthony that I can handle the show by myself. It's 661-244-9831. Okay, Sharon, let's see what we got here. I shuffled them up. And I do apologize for shuffling so loud close to the microphone. I'm trying to
That's okay.
I'm trying to do this in a most pleasant manner. Ooh. Okay. Sharon, first card that comes up, your recent past, is the Knight of Cups. Very strong emotional bond. Emotions, things that are very close to your heart, passionate. Very nice, very calming. It doesn't always mean romantically, but there is definitely an emotional bond with someone. Very strong, very pleasant. Now, what's crossing you right now is the King of Coins. Material-wise, money-wise, very good position right now. If the money isn't flowing in, it can, okay? Almost like the King of Coins points towards knowing what to do, knowing how to make things happen. It doesn't mean
I need
that
to
you're
pick
totally
those numbers better.
Well, it doesn't mean that you're rich, okay? And remember, wealth isn't just material things. It's also knowledge. It's also happiness. It's also, there's a lot of abundance around you. Now, it's up to you to pick up on it and use it, okay? Your card in the future, Knight of Swords. So but it's reversed. Knight of Swords points towards that person that is right there on the front lines. They're the ones that make things happen. They're the ones that make action. Is there something to do with money that you are thinking about doing and have doubts about it?
No, not really.
Okay, what was your question, darling?
Nothing in particular. I just wanted to see what would come up.
Well, it's coming. Honestly, this is coming up with money. It may be time.
Well, that would be nice.
Well, it may. There's the possibility of making some money here because you've got the Ace of Coins as your present card. So it's almost like, I don't know if you want to think about investments. Maybe there's something that you have been thinking about doing. It may be a time to look at certain things because you've got that King of Coins card right on you. And I pulled another card. It is the Emperor reverse. So that's pointing towards something a little out of the ordinary. Something maybe, is there something that you ever wanted to do but you just thought, that's not me?
Oh, there's been a lot of things over the course of many years, but
you know what?
I haven't really thought about it lately. I've had too many other things going on in my life.
It may be time to actually start thinking about that. It's almost adventure time, Yeah, see, like I've got the Eight of Cups here, and the Eight of Cups is almost sometimes a card of maybe slight regret, maybe I should have, I could have. So it's almost time that, like, maybe right now is the time to make that list and to look at the things that you've always wanted to do, and maybe it's time to go ahead and do them. It's adventure time.
It might be a very good time to start thinking about getting several things taken care of, and maybe we can start doing a few things here and there.
The Emperor card reverse points towards doing something out of the ordinary, not exactly following the rules, kind of like being a rebel.
Well, that's been my whole life.
Well, it's like it's like maybe that's who you are, and that's who you need to be. You need to keep being that person.
Yes, I don't think I could change now. I'm too old.
See that's the attitude right there that you've got to throw out the window. You can't do that.
I don't mean that. I mean, I've always been this way, and I don't think that I could ever change and be not this way.
Okay.
I
pulled one more card for you, okay? It's the moon. It's intuition. You have the ability to look past what's on the outside. You have the ability to kind of like feel what's coming. So I'm going to say, you know what, it is adventure time for you. Maybe it's time to look and maybe just explore some maybe new things. I don't know. Maybe take an adventure, take a trip somewhere that you've never been before. Maybe it's time to go buy that motorcycle,
That would be
time
fun.
to take a road trip. But
yeah, that
honestly,
would be good too.
This is really, really good. I mean, I like it, Sharon. I mean, it's just pointing towards adventure time. Like I says, whatever you want to do, just think it through. There may be something, you got that King of Coins right in the middle, and so that means that the possibility to do something new is there, and it could be profitable. I mean, if you've ever thought about maybe starting a business, something, anything, but it has to do with money.
Well, that sounds really good, Lucy.
Okay?
It really does. It really sounds good.
It's exciting. I like it. I like what's coming
It is.
up.
I like it, too. We're going to have to work on that.
Wonderful.
For sure.
thank you so much for calling in, darling. I want to know what kind of adventures.
Thank you for doing this tonight.
Oh, don't worry about it. I want to know what kind of adventures that you get into, okay?
I'm going to have to figure that all out, and believe me, you'll know.
Okay. All right, darling. Thank you so much for calling.
Good night, Lucy. Thank you.
Good night, darling. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okie dokie. And I see who's in the chat room. Anthony's in the chat room. And this feels so weird now. Now I'm going to get nervous. It's kind of like the student is on her own tonight, and the professor's in the chat room. So anyway, phone lines are open. It's 661-244-9831. I've got some lines open. If you have a question, if you want to get a mini reading, call in. I'm looking at the chat room now. Time for the shout-outs. Let's see. We've got Ann, 92054. We've got guests, 7394. And Anthony's threatening me from the chat room. We've got guest 8253. We've got Jamie. We've got Jason Olivo from Living Paranormal. We've got Rob Henry, and we've got Sharon Swift. Thank you guys for listening tonight. I really do appreciate it. And then, of course, there's Anthony. So if you, we got a couple people on the line right now. We'll go to them in just a second, but I want to give the phone number. I got to stop reading the chat room because I'm cracking up. If you've got a question, if you want a mini reading, if you've been scared to get a reading, I promise I won't bite. 661-244-9831. If you're shy and you don't want to do it on air, you can always go to my website, which is tarotreadingswithlucy.com. You can set up an appointment. We'll do a full reading. I've got a special rate for new clients, and I promise I'll be gentle. This is just a short taste of what a reading's like. And it's nothing to be scared of. It's not going to tell you anything that you really don't know already. But it will give you a different perspective. Sometimes, we have decisions in life or we have situations in life that we kind of know what's going on, but we might have a little bit of hesitancy. A tarot reading will pretty much kind of like take that situation and it'll give you a different view. Instead of looking at it head on, it might give you a view from the side, or it might give you a view from the behind. A lot of times, too, when readings come up, there may be something that comes up in a reading that you're not really sure about, and you'll say, oh, you know what, that doesn't really make sense. But when you think about it afterwards, certain things will click. I will say that I really do love the cards, and I know they're simply a tool to use and to kind of guide me into where the messages are coming from. But the cards usually do. They're very good to point what's strong. I've come across people that sometimes they'll ask for readings about money, and love will come up. Or they want to know about their love life, and money will come up. So if you've got a question, if there's something that you haven't, you've got hard to make a decision on, call me now. Call 661-244-9831. Let's do a reading. So we got some more people calling in. So let's go to the next one that's been waiting so long, and this is area code 210. Hi.
Hi,
Lucy.
Hi,
who is this?
It's Jason Olivo.
Hi, Jason.
Jason Olivo from Living Paranormal.
Hi,
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm doing fantastic, and you're doing great. Don't worry. And like Rob said, you can totally have a spot. I'm telling you, if you need a spot, you can come with us. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you. I feel better now. Thank you so much, darling. Okay, so
no problem.
Let's do your mini reading. And you know what? I want to give you guys props. You guys, we've been listening to your show, and you guys are doing an amazing job. So.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a whole lot coming from you all. We appreciate that. Thank you.
No, I mean, I've been staying up late. I got to get up at 5 in the morning, and I've been staying up late to listen to your show. So.
Oh, no. If it were up to Rob, we'd end up having 5-hour shows. So, no, I don't want you to stay up that late.
No, they've been very, very interesting. So if you guys get a chance, please check out Rob and Jason on their show. And what's the name of the show, dear?
It's
what do you guys call
Paranormal.
it? Living Paranormal.
Living Paranormal. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's on Blog Talk. So let's shuffle these up. And I'm trying not to shuffle close to the microphone. So here we go. Let's see what we got for you. Okie dokie. Again, I got 3 cards for you. First card, Knight of Cups. Very, very passionate person. When you put your mind to something, when you do something, it has to come from your heart. You get very passionately involved with what you do. Your emotions are very strong. You lead from the heart sometimes. It could be a good thing sometimes. Sometimes it could be a bad thing. You kind of have to remember that balance. You know, there's going to be times when your emotions are going to lead more, and sometimes you have to almost remember that you have to be more clinical about it, okay? What's crossing you right now is the Ten of Cups. Again, emotions, but this is reversed. So it's almost like things are good. Emotionally, things are fine. You know, they could be better. It's almost like that what if, almost like if things are this good, they could be even better. It's almost like that apprehension. It's like you just want the best, and you want the things that are going to make you happy. Now, near future card, Knight of Coins reverse. Watch your money. Watch the material things. The Knight of Coins is the person who he has a good head on his shoulders. He's had the training to this point to move forward. But it's almost like every once in a while you're not quite there. Sometimes it's almost like maybe the emotional side just kind of lets you, it's very possible to get too excited about something. It's very possible to not get excited enough. You kind of have to find that balance to bring the money part of it together. Okay, pulled another card for you. It's the Ace of Wands, but it's reversed. So, what ideas do you have? Okay, what is it that you really, really want to do? Are you vocalizing those ideas? Are you holding back? Because holding back for you is not a good thing. It's almost like you have to let these things go. There is something coming. There's an idea or there's a thought process that's coming for you that is really going to be the start of something really good. But it's reversed. So that's almost like, I don't know if you're holding yourself back or if there's maybe a situation around you that's kind of holding you back. Now, I did pull another card. It's the Judgment card. You have to remember that no matter what, when you speak up, things will happen fairly. It's almost like I want to be polite. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. You can't worry about that. If it's something that you're really passionate about, if it's an idea that you have that you believe in, if you totally believe in this idea, you have to push it forward. Does any of this make sense for you?
No, it's really you're kind of scaring me right now. It really absolutely does make sense.
What was your question?
I called in. Well, I was wanting to know. I was thinking about my son and thinking about how to proceed with him and his care. I have a child with disability, and we have to make a lot of decisions on his care and the kind of future that he has, in regards to medication and things like that of that nature. And I was really just thinking of that with him. And you're right. I mean, normally as a man, we're not technically or typically overtly emotional creatures, but when it comes to this subject, you're 100% right. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and it's not so much that I'm really worried about stepping on. Well, it is kind of stepping on anyone's toes, but it's more my son, because with the medication that we're looking at, it can have an adverse effect on him. I'm worried about it suppressing him as a person. And just really dulling down the things and really dulling down his artistic side and his creative side with some of these men. But at the same time, we need to move forward. We need to push forward and press forward, and I'm really concerned about that. So everything that you've told me really does truly speak to me, and I appreciate that so much. We really need to make those decisions on what to do, and I'm working together with his mom on it, so it's going to be fine. But he's a child with autism. We're thinking about meds to help him with his focus. But no, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the questions I was looking for.
One thing that I want to tell you, because you've got the 10 of Cups reversed, this is a definitely emotional issue for you. This is something that's definitely coming from your heart. It's that emotion that it's kind of holding you back in making the decisions. Okay, you have to address them head on. It's almost like you have to do the clinical side. Yes, you want the best for him. Emotionally, you want him to be happy, and you want him to be able to prosper. But it's almost like sometimes there is such a thing, and I'm guilty of it myself, of mothering too much, of caring too much, where it's almost like you smother. You have to kind of like almost step back a little bit. You have to give him room to spread his own little wings. Yes, he may fall a little bit, but it's not saying that you're going to let him fall. You're going to be there to catch him, and not so much pick him up, but just kind of like steady him. That's the most important thing. Money-wise, of course, yes, it may be slightly difficult, but there are ways around this. There are ways to do this. I pulled one more card for you, and it's strength reversed. You have to remember that you are the strong one. You are the one that can make this happen for him. You are his rock. You are his, I pulled one more card. It's the King of Swords. Once you kind of like take the emotions out of it a little bit, you will be able to do what you need to do for your son. But right now, the most important thing for you is you've got some wonderful ideas, and you've got some wonderful thoughts about this whole situation and the process. You have to allow yourself to do them. You think about it, and what I'm getting from this is that, yes, you do kind of know what to do. You've had ideas about how to make this happen and to make life better for him. But the emotional side of you kind of holds you back. And it's not because you don't want to do it. It's just that you just want to make sure that it's good. This is your child.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
This is the most important thing to you. But what I'm getting is that once you find that strength to make the clinical decisions, then things will start to happen. The King of Swords, this is the person that makes these things happen. He's the person that is strong in his conviction. You are not going to let this child fail. It's not in you. You will always be there to support him and to move him on. Does that make sense?
Goodness knows I'm trying. No, absolutely. I mean, even though that's kind of a weird juxtaposed to the symbol of being strong, and then you have the strength reversed. It's so true, because it's as being a parent, you learn, as you said earlier in the show, you know their sounds, you know everything. Being the father of a nonverbal autistic child, or child with autism, I know how to be his dad, but I don't know how to be a typical child's dad. So I keep trying to rein in his behavior. For instance, when we're on the outside, and one day a man in line behind me was like, "Hey man, it's all right. He's just being a kid," and he wasn't meaning anything by it. And I didn't take it wrong, but the way I took it was, man, how much am I restraining of him? How much of his behavior is being typical? And I just don't know, because I'm always trying to be on point, and I'm always trying to make sure that that he's able to fit in. And it's a real, truly tough balance to find. And you keep trying to reflect on and trying to remember your own childhood and think about what's appropriate and what's right. And it's hard sometimes. So I can totally see where you have that strange duality of the strength reversed and at the same time the position and card of authority. So I can see that, absolutely.
What's
That's
important
in
the situation is really that when you say a typical childhood, actually what your child is having is typical for him. That's the difference. Okay? It's almost like he definitely is his own person. His situation is different from everyone else's. So what he comes across in his life is typical for him. This is his world. And he needs to be able to function in his own world and This is typical for him. So he doesn't act like the other children. He doesn't vocalize the way everyone is. But in his own way, there is a door that he has. He has his own door. He's going to find his own way of communicating and verbalizing. It's just a matter of finding that door. You can't compare him to anyone else. You can't even compare him to your own childhood, because this is a completely different situation. This is him. This is his life. And you are there, out of love, out of total love. This is what you just want the best for him. So it's almost like you kind of like let him be a child in his own way. It's not, and by encouraging, by finding, by learning as much as you can about the situation is going to help you bring him to where he needs to be. Does that make sense?
I hear you. No, yes, absolutely. I hear you 100%. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Was there anything else, Charlene?
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I did pull one more card. It's the Queen of Swords. That's his mom. She's also on board, okay? Between the two of you, you guys are such a wonderful support system. It's almost like you got to let him run. You got to let him find his own steps. But you two will both be on either side of him to pick him up if he wavers. Okay?
That's very true. I do have to give her credit. I mean, we're no longer together, but we both work really well together in helping him out. And I give her all the credit in the world. She's an amazing mom. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're wonderful. I really do have a wonderful feeling about this. I can feel the love around this child, and I commend you. I mean, it's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, Jason.
You have a great night. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Jason, for calling. And thank you. And
no
everybody,
problem.
Don't forget to listen to Rob and Jason on Living Paranormal, okay?
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, dear. Bye-bye. Oh, that was nice. I love doing readings like that because, like I said, sometimes you see things that, people already know, and it's just a different perspective. It's just a different view. And we all have choices, and one of the hardest things in the world are your own kids. I mean, when you think about the situations with your kid, it's like it changes everything. The things that you would do for yourself, you would move mountains for your child. And sometimes you have to let them learn on their own. You can't keep them in a bubble. And this is one lesson that I had to learn the hard way. You can't keep them in a bubble all their life. They have to grow up. They have to move forward. So, Jason, I just honestly think that you're on the right track. I see nothing but good things. I don't see anything bad. So thank you so much for calling. And, good luck. That's wonderful. So we got some lines open. We got a couple more people waiting. But if you need a reading, call in 661-244-9831. If you're too shy to call in, tarotreadingswithlucy.com. Set up a session. We can go into much more detail. This is just a taste of what a full reading is like. We can address whatever questions come up. Like I said, to me, this is just something that I love doing. It's fun. Jason said he's never done a reading before. Well, I'm so happy that I was able to do that for you. And thank you so much. I mean, it does take a lot of courage to call into a radio show and actually get a reading online. So thank you so much. Okay, so let's go. We've got another caller here, and this is area code 304. So hold on one second. Hi, area code 304.
Hi,
Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with the other half of the dynamic duo. It's Rob.
Batman. Hi, Rob. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Lucy. How about yourself?
I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm running my mouth off. Of course I'm happy. This is the other half, folks, of Living Paranormal. This is Rob Henry. Thank you so much for calling. And let me shuffle up these cards, and thank you for the honor of reading for you. So let me shuffle this up.
Now, be gentle. This is my first time, and I haven't had to say that in many years.
Okay. So let's see what's what. I promise I'll be gentle. I love this. We've got people that have never had readings before. So, okay, let me do this one more time. Trying not to... Okay, let's see what we got for Rob. Cut this 3 times. Let's see. Okay, recent past. 9 of Wands reversed. Rob, you are the kind of person that seems to take a lot of things on yourself. It's almost like you are the one that if something's got to get done, you're going to do it. You're constantly thinking, always got the mind going, pretty much. Even if a situation or a project is done, it's almost like you're ready to go to the next one. You're already thinking about how to improve a process. You kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself, but this card is reversed. So things have kind of been alleviating. I don't know if you found a maybe help, or I don't know if you've taken on a partnership or anything like that. But the pressure, the need to solve the problems is alleviating, and that's recent past. Now, what's crossing you right now is the 6 of Swords, but it's reversed. Okay, when the 6 of Swords is right side up, it's almost like, I got to get out of here. I've got to escape. Well, this is reversed. So it is still a sense of like, hey, I need a break. But it's not so bad as it was before. It's almost like, again, things are starting to alleviate. It's almost like there's a sense of wanting to escape, but this time it's almost like in a pleasant manner. It's almost like, well, yeah, maybe there should be some travel involved, or maybe taking a trip somewhere. Now, your outcome card is the Lovers, okay? That's a partnership. It's a deep emotional bond with someone else. So, Rob, I'm going to say that it may be time to take a trip with that special someone. Does this make any sense?
Yeah, she and I both actually kind of need a getaway, so it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
When's the last time you guys took a vacation? I mean, a real vacation. A real vacation?
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing 5 or 6 years, maybe.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. It seems like you've been busy. You've been doing a lot. It's almost like you've just been trying to do everything. It's really time to kind of relax. Take that trip. If you two have thought about going somewhere and just kind of getting away from the rest of the world, it may be a good time to do it. Yeah, see, I got the 3 of Swords reversed. It's almost like giving up. It's not like you have to give up anything, and it doesn't even have to be far. It can be a staycation. Yeah, 3 of Wands. No matter what's going on in your world, it's what the cards are telling me right here. It's almost like it's time to take a breather. It's time to kind of like recharge, and then when you're done with it, then you can survey your kingdom. Because the 3 of Wands is a card of the person who, I have a lot going on. I know I've got this, this, and this. But it's like in control. It's not being frazzled. It's not being overwhelmed. It's just being able to stand there and say, yes, I know I have this going, and I know I have this going in front. I'm using my hands like you can really see me. And I've got this over here. But it's the person who can, it's like you really do need to take a breather right now, because that breather is going to help you to kind of like handle everything that's going on in your world. Am I right in this? You're very busy.
Yeah,
a lot of things going on.
It makes sense. With running a paranormal team and the endeavor of the radio show now, and something a lot of people don't know. My father had a stroke back in November, and him and my mother have moved in with us, and me and my wife are both constantly just running nonstop. It honestly has been pretty heavy strain on us.
Okay.
With everything popping on.
I will tell you that your wife, she is the perfect partner for you. The Lover's card is the card of that emotional bond. She is there for you. Between the two of you, you do need to take maybe a short breather. And I'm not saying don't go on the world tour, but just even if it's just a night out somewhere. And that little breather is just going to help everything else in your life. The Three of Swords reversed is, it's almost like sometimes it's like if you take a night off, it's almost like if I take a night off, I'm giving up time. You're not giving up anything. Don't ever think that you're going to give up, that it's like, I can't do this. Try not to feel any guilt about it. You really do need to take that breather. And I pulled one more card, and it's the Nine of Coins. The Nine of Coins is material things falling into place. So even if there's some kind of venture that you're thinking about, or maybe if there's some kind of project that may be profitable for you, it's a good time to start it. It's a very good time. You've got a card of material well-being coming. You've got a card of just kind of like everything falling into place. Does this make sense? Is there something that you've thought about, maybe business-wise or something?
There's a few things that we've been kind of bouncing around. We've kind of talked about, I've kind of teased with writing a book for a couple of years about paranormal experiences, how to investigate, things of that nature. It's been kind of a pet project that I've had on the back burner for several years now. A couple of things of that nature that I'd really love to be able to sink my teeth into if I had the time to do it.
Well, why are you stopping yourself? Because I've got the Page of Swords here, and it's reversed. That's the person who is like, I know I got to do these things, but I'm just not doing it. It's time. It's time for you to start doing these things. It's time for you. One of these things is going to fall into place, and it's going to be very good for you. Like I said, right now, the main thing that I'm getting from this, it's time to take a short breather, kind of like recharge, get those batteries back up to full speed. And then when you come back, and like I said, this can be just a night, it's going to be a little bit clearer about what you need to do, what you want to do. That's the most important thing. It's going to have to be what you want to do. Yeah, see, I've got the Page of Swords and the Knight of Swords reversed. So that points towards action. It's almost like, yes, I have to do this in a manner that is going to, I got to make it happen. Does that make sense? And you don't strike me as the kind of person that kind of shies away from wanting to do something. It's almost like any restrictions that are on you are kind of like things that you kind of put in yourself sometimes.
Usually it is, yeah. I can be my own worst enemy in that area as far as limiting myself and holding myself back. And I'm sure Jason would agree to that. He's known me for about 10 years now. If there's anybody who can put their head in a bear trap, it's me.
Well, I want to know all about the time off. I want you to take that breather. I want you to take that lady and just find some alone time for the two of you. And then when you get back, then it's time to kind of like sit down, survey your kingdom, and see what needs to be done. Because there's a venture in there somewhere that is going to be profitable. And remember, profitable isn't always just money. There may be something totally satisfying that is going to just enrich your whole life.
Right.
Does it make sense?
Well, listen, yeah, it does. Thank you very much for doing this and for having us on. I sincerely appreciate it. It's been quite the first experience, and I have to agree, a little bit spooky in a way, but I really enjoyed it.
It's not hocus pocus. It's not magic. It's not anything that you didn't already know. And I think you can agree with that, right?
Pretty much, yeah. You did nail it on the head, no question.
That's the beauty of the cards.
No question.
The cards will always, I'm telling you, the cards will always bring up what is most important in your life. And, I wish you the best of luck, okay?
All right. Thank you, Lucy. We will see you soon. Definitely.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okie dokie. That was good. You know what? This is absolutely fun. Reading, the best, one of the things that I totally enjoy the best is reading for people who have never had a reading before, or for people who have a little bit doubts. Especially if I don't know you, that's even better. Sometimes you read for people that you know and you kind of know their situation. But the cards, for me, is that little tool. I've always described it as kind of like having the ability to open up someone's head and to be able to just take a peek inside. And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, I don't claim to have this great psychic ability. I don't claim to be able to tell the future, because that's the other thing. We've talked about this on other shows. When you get a reading, okay, there is such a thing as your own will. You are in control of your own destiny. No matter what reading you get from anyone, you still have the choice to open up what doors you want to. You have the choice of what path you want to follow. So that's the one thing that that's the one advice that I want to give to anybody who's looking for a psychic reading. Sometimes people, they go for readings and they want to get an answer and they want to hear something. First thing, when you go to somebody for a reading, you definitely have to keep your cards close to your chest. Don't give a whole lot of information. When you give a lot of information to someone who is not quite on the level or is not who they seem to be, there's such a thing as people can read cues. They can read your body language. They can read your tone of voice. They can, just by the questions you're asking, they know what you want to hear. And I will, I have had the privilege of meeting some really, really amazing and talented people, some psychic mediums, some psychics, numerologists, people who are really, truly gifted. But again, there's also people that are not on the level. There are people that claim to be something that they're not. So for you, for the person that's going to look for a reading, one of the most important things that I can say, make sure you check the person out. Ask for a recommendation. Talk to somebody who's had a reading with this person. Read the testimonials that they have. Look at their web page. Look at what they offer. Check out the person. I mean, you wouldn't go to a doctor without checking out what they're about. Well, it's the same thing with a psychic or a medium. You owe it to yourself. This is a decision that you're making. And no matter what they tell you, you've got to be very, very careful. Listen to what's being told to you, okay? If it doesn't make sense, say so. If it doesn't click with you, say so. I know some people say that, it may not, and I've said this myself, a reading will come up and maybe something doesn't make sense at the time. But when you think about it afterwards, it does. But then you also have these people that are totally off the wall. They're off left base. They're coming up with all these situations and, like Anthony talked about the one time, going in, and someone's telling you got a curse on you. Okay, so you've got to understand. You've got to be a little bit smart about it when you go for a reading. A reading can be a very, very good thing. It can help you make a decision, but ultimately your destiny is in your own hands. You have that choice. So never base a really important decision on just a reading, okay? A reading can help you look at the situation, but the one thing I want to get across to everybody, never, never, never base a life decision on a psychic reading. Okay? So, let's see. We've got another caller. Let's go back to the phone lines, and this is the mysterious 111 number. So let's see who this is. Hi, you're on the air with Lucy. Who is this? Hello? Hello?
I'm trying to be like a ninja.
You're not a ninja.
Damn it,
okay,
it didn't
now
work.
I'm scared. Now I'm scared.
I want a
how
reading.
Can I help you? Okay.
I want a reading.
Okay.
I want to know first. I want, if everybody doesn't know, it's Anthony, but I want to know first, how is it for you to be able to give a reading to someone that you know really well, as opposed to someone who is just a cold caller?
How do I explain this? It's like how I've said it before. When I look at the cards, when I put them down, regardless if I know somebody very well and I know their situation, it's almost like everything else blocks out. It's almost like I go into like this vacuum and I don't see anything but what's in front of me. So even though I know a situation and I know what's what, the messages I'm getting from the cards could be completely different than what I think I know. It's almost like I how do I say this? It's almost like I have the switch that I kind of like shut off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you're not. I think you. I mean, you already explained this to me a while ago, but it just always fascinates me that I guess I try and put myself in your shoes, and if I know that person, and I know either their quirks or their issues or their problems, it's hard for me to then read what the cards are saying and not be so judgmental or not be so opinionated in my reading. And I was just curious if that ever came out for you, that you've given a reading to someone that you really know really well.
You know what? I honestly have to say no, because it's weird, because when the cards come down, it's almost like this internal switch comes on, and no matter what I know about the situation, the messages in the card may be completely different. It may be something that the person is never asked about before, or it may be something that all of a sudden is just popping in there. And no matter how well I know somebody, I don't know what's happening every single day in their life. That's the main thing. And a lot of times the cards will bring up maybe a situation, or they may bring up something, and for some reason that situation is actually happening, or there is a question about what that is. It's weird. I don't understand it.
I have to also add, though, to what you were just saying before to the audience about, making a sensible judgment when going for a reading. If it doesn't quite make sense, or if you know that the results are not quite what is happening in your life, to not be afraid and say no or thank you and walk out the door.
Right.
You have to weed out those ones. And I have to tell you this, Lucy, I didn't tell you this, but earlier this week, I always like to keep a pulse on a lot of the radio shows that are out there, especially within the paranormal genre, which is hence why I'm starting to like Living Paranormal, Rob and Jason. But I've listened to, just because we've just come off the month of January of psychics and healers and advisors, and celebrating that for January, that I've started to listen more towards the psychic and medium radio shows. And there was one in particular, and I won't, drop a bomb and say who it was, but I listened to a new show on Blog Talk Radio earlier this week, and this woman was stretching. I mean, I can't even begin to explain the stretching that she did. It was almost like she had Rubberman with her. The way that she was trying to fit in everything that she was saying, and as the client, the person who was on the other end of that line, she kept saying no, and this woman, I remember, she kept saying, no, that's not right, no, it doesn't seem familiar, it doesn't sound similar. She then backtracked. You can see it formulating. and trying to make whatever she was trying to say to be true. And at one point, the woman says, "Oh, I think you're right. You could, you could be right. You could be right." I felt so bad. I wanted to really call up and say, "Listen, if you're not hearing it, if you're not feeling it, and to the psychic, if you're not seeing it or it's not becoming a vision to you, then don't say it." It was just so disheartening to hear that, and people are left then to go on those words of what those psychics were saying. I just feel so horrible when that happens.
Well, see, that's the downside of being a reader. You're not going to be 100% all the time. You're not going to tell people what they want to hear, and you owe it to your client. You owe it to yourself not to gild the lily. That's not what your purpose is. Your purpose is not to give them what they want. It is to disperse a message that you're getting. And sometimes people don't hear what they want to hear. And if you're off, then you need to have the balls to say, "I'm not getting anything." It has happened to me once, I'm going to say maybe a couple times, not often, where I just wasn't getting anything. And I was honest enough to say, I can't make something up. For me, in order to put the cards down and I'm not getting anything, I can't make something up. To me, that is like a mortal sin. It makes me feel so negative. And when I hear people, and I listen to all of these shows, I call into these shows because I want to hear what they're going to tell me. And when I come across someone who is just very obviously reaching, and they're very obviously making something up, it is such a negative feeling because they're not being true to themselves and they're not being true to that caller, which is why I always tell people, you cannot, if there's something that you really, really need to make a decision on, you cannot base your decision simply on a psychic reading. I know there's people, and I see it all the time, "Oh, you know what, so-and-so is the best, and I don't do anything unless so-and-so tells me." Well, that's all fine and dandy, but you are very possibly putting yourself in harm's way. You're very possibly putting yourself into a situation that you could be making something worse. And any reader, any so-called psychic that's out there that feels the need to make something on, shame on them. They need to take a good look at themselves because there's such a thing as karma. What you put out, you're going to get back. And if you're not being honest with the person who has trusted you enough to come to you to ask for a reading, you are doing a great disservice, and I guarantee you it's going to come back to bite you. It really is.
And I get it. I get it when there are psychics who are telling you something, and you as the client, you as that caller, you as the receiver on the other end, a lot of times you're in the moment. You've got that. It feels as though you've got that spotlight on you, and so your brain sort of goes blank. And when you're getting a reading, some things don't click because you're not thinking of them. They're not in the forefront of your mind. And so a lot of times psychics and mediums tell their clients or customers to write down what was said or to record the actual reading. And then maybe a few days later or the next day or whatever, replay it or reread it again and see if anything clicks. I understand that part where sometimes, you don't receive it at that moment, that you have to think back at a later time about that reading, and sometimes it'll make sense because you just weren't thinking at that time. What I'm talking about and what you're talking about is the whole idea of when you are reaching as a psychic, when you're trying to reach and trying to make something out of nothing, that's when your intuition should act up. You as the client, you as the one that on the other end trying to get this reading, you should trust that instinct, trust that intuition to know that, you know what, I know what she's doing or I know what he's doing, but it's not making sense, and I know that isn't true. Don't take it as a doctor is giving you a pill. Don't take it and swallow it. Understand where your limits are and where your boundaries are. But in the same moment and at the same time, a lot of these people that are calling in, not all of them, but a lot of them are very vulnerable. You know, they've gone through, you know, a severe death in the family or a severe illness or sickness or whatever it is, a traumatic experience. And so naturally, you're not all there. You know, you don't have, your walls are down. You're so vulnerable to and wanting to receive that help that you'll accept anything. Excuse me, I have a cold. So it's not in the moment that it happens. It's not in everyone's mind to be thinking straight, and I get it. But there's the people who are hearing it that are away from that person. There are people who are overseeing these psychics and mediums, and we had talked about this with Robin Marie about having some sort of guide, about having some sort of regulation on psychics and mediums to keep them straight and keep them in line, because the folks that are calling in are not at that level to be able to know what's right and what's wrong. So I know I took up most of your time, and I want a reading, Lucy.
Yes, sir. Well, again, but to go back on what you're saying, because I think it's really, really important. Getting a reading is not just getting the reading from whoever you're getting it from. You have an active role in this reading, too. Again, like I said, I think everybody has this ability. So that means that you kind of have to, like, rely on your own intuition, too. Like Anthony said, if it doesn't make sense, or if you obviously know that this person is reaching, don't play into it. Don't agree with it. Just because this person calls themselves a psychic or a reader or a medium or whatever they call themselves does not mean that they are the end-all of information. If it doesn't make sense, then you need to say so. You need to say, hey, wait a minute. You know what? I'm not getting anything from this. Thank you very much. I'm moving on. And that's the other reason why I say a lot of times, too, when you go to somebody for a reading, don't give up everything. Don't give all your questions right away. I know some people, they want to hear the questions ahead of time. I honestly would prefer not that you tell me anything. I would prefer that you don't give me the questions, because this way I know what I'm getting from the cards is true. I'm not going to reach. I'm not going to make something up, because to me that is absolutely a sin. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way. Huh?
What's that old O.J. Simpson line? If it doesn't fit, you must have quit.
No, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck.
I think that was Robin's line.
Okay, let me shuffle this up. Let me see what's what. And I'm trying not to shuffle close to the microphone. Okay, folks, if I get fired, I want you to protest, okay? Let me see.
They're not going to save you.
You're so mean. Okay, first card that comes up, Queen of Cups. Emotional attachment. Letting the emotions be the guide. Leading with your heart, not so much leading with the, not so much protecting, not so much thinking with the mind, but it's letting the heart do the leading. Nurturing. It's it's just a nice, warm, protective feeling. Now, the card that's crossing you right now is the Two of Swords, but it's reversed. Now, when the Two of Swords is right side up, it is that protective stance. It's protecting yourself against what's coming up. But this card is reversed, so it means that the walls are coming down. It means that taking the chance, letting the walls come down. It's not being so protective anymore. The outcome card is the Two of Cups, and the Two of Cups is a great emotional attachment. It's a very strong, it's a very emotional bond. It is getting strength from that. It's getting what you need from it. Hold on one second. Next card I pull is the Fool. It's reverse. Time to take a chance. The Fool, when it's right side up, is the card of adventure. It's the card of innocence. It's the card of taking that step without the roadmap. But this is reverse, so it's almost like no matter what, even if it seems like an adventure, there's still that part of you that wants to say, no, I need the map. I need to know exactly what's going on. Next card is the Ten of Cups. By taking a chance, emotionally satisfaction. It is by taking the chance, everything will fall into place emotionally. It will be happiness. It will be good. Yeah. Other card, the Judgment card reverse.
It seems like is it becoming an emotional roller coaster for me?
It can be. It's almost like it's almost like being on the skateboard and kind of like going from side to side. It's almost like no. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, and the only reason why the no's are coming in is not so much because of the outside. It's because of you. It's within you. It's almost like you make a step forward and then you step back. Okay? Now, the last card that comes up is the Judgment card reversed. It's almost like fearing that things will not be fair. But you have to kind of like take the chance in order to get the result. Yeah, see, the last card is the Three of Wands. Once you kind of like give in to the emotions, once you kind of like let the emotions flow, it's almost like you can't, the Two of Swords is that card of protection. It's kind of like I've always, kept this suit of armor on. But by taking that suit of armor on, it's kind of like, it's not so much, you got to learn the difference between feeling vulnerable and feeling free. Okay, by taking the armor off, sometimes, sure, the first thought is like, okay, I'm without my armor. I can get stabbed, I can get hurt. But then there's also the feeling of, you have to kind of look at it as, without the armor, it's freedom. I can breathe. I don't have this restriction on me. And the restriction is something that you've put on yourself. Once you let that restriction down, the choices are very easy to come. The Three of Wands is surveying. It's again, I have this over here, I have this here, I have this here. It's easier to see what the choices are. By letting the wall down, it becomes freedom. Does that make sense?
It sort of does. I guess
if it doesn't make sense, say so.
No. I'm just trying to think. When you're talking about emotions and feelings and all that, and I've publicly said this before. That this year I've planned to make it different for me. There are things that trying to, and we did this. Here we go again, talking about the burning bowl thing. But I wanted to sort of, get rid of the negative that has sort of plagued my life for so long. The things that I've held in and I've held down and whatever, and then trying to move forward and get stronger in that way. But also, I guess trying to find a deeper meaning to things, and in doing so, I'm hoping that accomplishment helps me to then fulfill the things that I really want to do. And I guess it's equating to that.
What this
I'm not sure
is
you're the
pointing toward
psychic.
is putting down, it's taking the restriction off yourself. The things that you really want to do, they will emotionally satisfy you. But you can't get to that if you keep the restrictions on yourself. You have to let them go. You have to let that wall down. You have to be able to take that chance. You have to be able to take that step forward, because this is pointing towards still, yes, the intention's there. Yes, I want to change things, and I want to fulfill, my emotional needs, but it's almost like sometimes it's so hard that if we put restrictions on ourselves, sometimes it's kind of hard to let them down, even though we have every intention to. It's almost like habit.
It becomes a way of life.
Yeah. The Three of Swords is also in there. Okay, the Three of Swords is giving something up, but it's reversed. So it's almost like, yeah, I know I should give up this way of thinking. I know I should give up this way of doing something. I know I should give up this thing. But it's almost like kind of holding on to it. So the changes that you want, they can come. And when those changes come, they're going to be very, very good, and they will be emotionally satisfying. But you have to let yourself make the changes. There's still that part of you that wants to kind of like hold on to it. And it's almost like, what I'm getting, it's almost like, it's not so much that it has to be, it's almost like that you're just used to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you know me, I'm always one to control everything in my life. I have to live by a schedule. Time is, if I wore sunglasses, it'd be right in the front of the lenses. That's, time. I live by it. I have to live by it, by my profession. But I've always had that control factor that, things have to be scheduled out, organized. I have to plan it. I have to know ahead of time. I hate surprises. Completely hate surprises. Hate them. So it's always been a trait of mine that I've always had, and I guess maybe because I said before, is it like an emotional roller coaster? I think maybe I am sort of starting to release that stuff, and it being a roller coaster going up and down. It's sort of like the actual coaster car is coming loose off the wheels, and it's sort of rocking as it's going. Hopefully those wheels will come off pretty much, and I'll just sort of, fly off.
It's not going to be
I'm equating
easy.
it to that.
Because you're so used to being in control. It won't be easy at first because you're so used to being in control. And letting go of the restrictions is being out of control. Not in a bad way, but it's different. It's definitely a different way of approaching things. And for you, okay, now I'm going to go into the part where I know you, okay? For you, to be without those controls is probably going to be, it's going to make you crazy at first because you're not used to that. Like you said, everything has to be in order. So for something, to kind of like throw caution to the wind is kind of like a different thing, and it's going to be unfamiliar, and unfamiliar sometimes is disturbing. Does that
I'm
make
a perfectionist.
I know
it does. I mean, I'm a perfectionist at heart. I mean, I'm not a perfect perfectionist, but I live by the rules to become a perfectionist, even though you can never accomplish being perfect. I completely get that, and I understand that. But it has always been in me to strive for that. My motto is there's always room for improvement. Nothing is ever 100%. I never see things as 100%. It's always at 90, 95, 98 the most, because there's always room for improvement. There's always a way to make a change, to make things better. As you grow, things can always change, and then you go off in another branch and things can get even higher. It's a sick way of living. I know it, but that's the way that I am, and I have been so accustomed to that life. And I know now one of those things is to release that. But it's hard. It's changing your entire way of living, and so that's that emotional disconnect, I guess, or connect that's happening right now as you're talking. So.
Well, the last
you,
card I pulled is the World, okay? Once you kind of learn to let go, everything will fall into place. You got to go, Sharon put in the chat room, you got to lighten up.
Easily said than done.
So, were you satisfied with your reading, sir?
Yes, I was, ma'am. Your check-in's in the mail.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you. You have such a great show.
Thank you.
I'll listen now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, that was Anthony, and he really does need to lighten up. So we got a couple more callers, and we got 25 minutes left. So let's go to the phone lines and let's see who's there. Let's go to area code 515, and let's see who's there. Hi, who is this?
Hi, it's Denise. How are you?
Hi, Denise. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm great. Thank you so much for calling, darling. This is an honor.
Oh, no, it's an honor here.
Okay. For everybody who's listening, this is Denise Mendenhoff, and she is with Paranormal Researchers of Iowa. She is a very accomplished paranormal investigator, and I am very honored to call her my friend.
No, I'm honored to call you my friend.
Okay, let's see what we got here, darling. I'm so glad that I could do this for you. So don't tell me what's going on. I want to see what the cards tell me, okay?
Oh, I'm not telling you nothing.
And please forgive me, everybody, for giggling so much. I just love doing this, and this makes me happy. And I do want to thank Anthony for giving me the opportunity to do this tonight. I mean, this was totally unplanned. This was, throwing caution to the wind. And I'm really happy. I mean, this makes fun. This is fun. Okay, Denise, let's go. Let's see. The first card that you get is Judgment Reversed. Pretty much almost like maybe not quite getting the results that you want. It's almost like, yes, you know what seems supposed to be fair, but sometimes it's almost like not quite having it fall into place the way you feel it should be. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's unfair in the whole universe. It's just for you, I would prefer it to be this way, and it hasn't been this way, but that's the past. Now, what's crossing you right now is Temperance, but it's reversed. So heads up from the universe, you got to find that balance. You got to find that balance between what should be and what is. Sometimes, when we look at things and they fall into place, sometimes it's not quite the way you want it to be. But by accepting that and working with it, you can find that balance, okay? Mm-hmm. Near future. 10 of Coins, reversed, okay? Material-wise, things are good. They will be good. Not quite, where you really want them to be, not a landslide of money, but good, comfortable. Again, like Anthony said, there's always room for improvement. Of course, we can always do with an extra million. Hold on, let me pull another card. Page of Wands. New ideas. Taking the ideas that you have and making them happen. I'm going to say this is really pointing towards kind of business, some kind of business dealing or something like that. If there is an improvement that you're thinking of, maybe possibly a new venture, very good time to get it started. It's not going to take off completely right at first, but it's definitely going to be good. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
Okay.
You're
what
right
was your
on the
question,
mark.
dear?
Actually, do I go with Plan B or do I create Plan C with business?
Page of Wands. I think you've already made that decision, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I pulled another card. It's the Fool reverse. If the Fool was upright, I would say go with the most unlikely decision. But since this is reverse, it's kind of like a calling to stay with what's familiar. What is the most, it's saying don't really take a big chance. Does that make sense? Almost staying with the safe choice.
Mhm. Yep. I get it. Yep.
Okay. Other card I pull is the Wheel of Fortune, but it's reversed. Whatever the success is going to come from basically not so much a lucky break. It's actually going to be what you really work at. So the success is going to come from pretty much knowing what this is, knowing all the components, and knowing the best way to put the components together. We're not going to put anything to chance here. We're not going to, go off on a limb. All of a sudden I want to, I've never been a fashion designer, so now all of a sudden I'm going to start doing designs. No, that's not what's going to happen here. What has to happen for you, for the success, for that 10 of coins to reverse, it has to be something that's familiar. It has to be something that you have all the pieces together. It's like the Lego set. In order to build the Star Wars castle, I have to have every single piece. I have to have every single component to put in there, because when I build the Star Wars castle, it's going to look like a Star Wars castle. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Do you get a lot of cards that reverse? Lordy.
You know what? Sometimes they come up reversed, sometimes they don't. I think it's more like the message, because, okay, there's 78 cards in the deck. Every card has a meaning. But where they fall and how they fall is what gives you the story. And that's what I'm going to say. It's like a story. I don't know what your situation is. I can tell you what the cards are telling me. So if they come up reversed, yeah, sometimes they do come up reversed. I mean, I've had readings where every single card is right side up. I've had readings where every single card is reversed. But because a card is reversed, it's supposed to have like a negative or the opposite meaning. But they're not always negative. And to me, I truly believe
this is not at all.
It's just, all it's saying is, okay, perfect example is the Fool. When it's right side up, it means take an adventure. It means doing something out of the ordinary. But in this case, it's reversed. So that means that I need to be a little bit more careful. I need the road map. Instead of taking off in the car and just going on the road without a map, I do need the map. I need the GPS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that Wheel of Fortune reversed is just telling me that it's not so much, it's not going to, the lightning is going to strike and then all of a sudden the pile of money is going to be there. No, it's telling me that I have to actually make that happen. And I'm a true believer that, luck, we make our own luck. We put ourselves in the situation.
I've always said that.
Well, this is reversed, so that just means that you, in your situation, it just means that you're going to have to kind of put things together, kind of like put them in place.
Oh, yeah, and that's been my whole life, so I'm not surprised at that. So
I pulled one more card, and it is reversed. It's the Tower. Whatever adventure that you want to, it's going to have a slow start, okay? There are no surprises in this. When this falls into place, you're going to know it. And I want you to savor it, and I want you to enjoy every second of it.
Absolutely. That works great. That's exactly how I want it to go.
Very exciting.
Slow. I want it to go slow, which is perfect.
Good.
So
good.
That works
it
out
will.
well.
It
right.
will,
Well,
because what I'm getting
dear.
from this is that I stay full speed ahead, but with caution and with, it's almost going to have to be calculated. You are going to have to craft this. But for you, I think this is going to be the perfect opportunity. I think you've got it.
I think this is, and it's got to go slow because I do not want anything moving fast. I do not like to move fast. I am not a fast mover. So this works well for me. Thank you, my dear.
You're welcome, darling. Thank you so much for calling.
Thanks. You have a blessed day, girl. Okay?
You too. Okay, let me know how it goes.
I will. I'll talk to you later. All right?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okie dokie. That was awesome. Yeah. Sometimes reverse cards come up all the time, but it's not really a negative. And honestly, I'm going to say that when something comes up, to me, there are no negatives. I mean, a negative is just a highlight that there's something that needs to be changed. When you know something is negative, you have power because you know what the situation is. And knowing the situation is a hell of a lot better than not knowing what's coming at you. So that's cool. Okay, so we got 15 minutes left. We got one more caller, so I'm going to go to area code 832 so we can get them in. And Thank you for holding 832. Who is this?
Hi, this is Maureen.
Hi, how you doing, darling? Thank you for calling.
Great. Thank you for taking my call.
I hope you have been enjoying these readings, and thank you so much for having the courage to call in and read.
Yeah, and thank you. You're so sweet.
Aw, thank you. Are you listening, Anthony? I'm very sweet.
And you have a nice giggle.
Thank you. Okay, so let's shuffle this up, darling. Let's see what we get.
Okay, let's talk.
Let's see. 832. What area of the country are you in, dear?
This is Houston.
Ah, okay. Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on one second. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to cut these and let's pull them and see what we got here. Wow, we got a lot of the same cards coming up tonight, but this time the 10 of coins is your first card, but it's right side up. So the 10 of coins is having that wealth, and it doesn't mean that it is monetary wealth. It is everything in your life. It could be emotions. It could be knowledge. It could be family. But you have a lot in your life that I think you're very aware of the things that you have and that they're good. It's almost like, it's contentment. It's being comfort. It's like being comfortable in the situation. Now, what's crossing you right now is the Fool, and this time it's right side up. So as we've talked about before, the Fool is a card of adventure. It's time to maybe possibly do something a little out of the ordinary, okay? If there's something that you've been thinking about or if there's a situation, and I almost get a feeling like this is maybe an emotional thing of taking a chance, maybe doing something that you've never done, maybe approaching a situation in a way that you never have. It's a good time to try it. I mean, if there's something that you've been thinking about and, you've always said, nah, I don't do it that way, or nah, that'll never work for me, it might be time to take that chance. Your outcome card is the World, and it's reversed, but in this case, I'm going to say the World is the best card in the whole deck. And even when it's reversed, it's a very good card. Now, the only reason it's reversed is because this is something new and because it's a situation that possibly you're not used to. It might feel a little foreign, but that doesn't mean it's good. Hold on one second. Yeah, I pulled another card. It's the 8 of coins. Again, you've got 2 coins in here, so it's a wealth of something. It's a wealth, very possibly it could be money that's coming, but it's a good situation. Does this make sense to you, darling? What was your question?
It seems like you touched on something else that I was going to ask you about, but that's okay.
Sometimes the cards kind of go to what's kind of a little bit more pressing.
Yes,
what was the question?
Okay, I had a situation last Thursday. I was supposed to go out with an acquaintance. She's actually my hairdresser. And she told me to meet her at, we're going to go out, get ready for 11 o'clock. And I took a day off work to go out. And when I tried to call her back, she didn't answer her phone. And I'm really, confused. I'm not sure what's going on in that situation.
Okay. What I'm getting here is almost okay, I pulled another card. It's a 7 of Cups. It's almost what are you doubting about the whole situation? It's almost there's really nothing wrong there. It just may be a missed call. It may be a missed timing. But it's almost you're putting a little bit more onto it than it is. So what I'm going to tell you is you just kind of have to figure out there's no underlying, there's nothing earth-shattering here. It just may be, mistiming, whatever. And actually, if it doesn't fall into place the way that you think it was going to be, it's not a big deal. It's not something that is going to, there's no underlying motives. There's nothing really bad going on. It's just maybe putting a little bit too much into, well, it didn't happen, so maybe all of a sudden you start thinking, okay, what is it? It could be this or it could be that. Kind of clear the slate. Don't worry about it. Try not to worry about it, because honestly, there's nothing really negative about this. Does this make sense for you?
Okay. It was just kind of like a, awkward situation for me, because she knew I was denied work to go out with her. And she didn't return my phone calls. I haven't heard from her. Not even to say, what happened or nothing.
I would just kind of let it go for now.
And this is not the first time. This is the second time.
Okay. The Eight of Cups is a card of looking at a situation the way it really is. Don't make excuses for the other person, but don't make a big deal out of it, okay? If this is something that you're seeing like a pattern, then it may be that it's kind of like you have to accept things the way they are. And if this is a person that's unreliable, or they just don't seem, they have a tendency, to make plans and they blow it off, I kind of would think twice before I make plans with them again. And it doesn't have anything to do with you. It just may be the way this person is. So the Eight of Cups definitely points towards, you kind of have to accept things, a person the way they are. Don't read any more into it. Yes. And you know what? It doesn't have to be awkward. I mean, it's like, okay, fine, you didn't make it.
She's my beautician,
Right.
I'm like,
so you kind of want to keep that relationship.
Because she does my hair.
Keep the relationship. I wouldn't make a big deal out of it, because from the female point of view, it's hard to find someone that you're comfortable with to do your hair. When you find someone that that you trust with your hair, that's fine. I wouldn't make a big deal out of it, but I wouldn't push it either. And the other part about it is, as far as making plans, you kind of have to accept her the way she is. She's made plans, obviously she blew you off this time. Maybe there's something, whatever. The next time that it comes to that kind of situation, maybe I would be busy that night. This way you're not, honestly, because this way you're not jeopardizing the business relationship, and that's what's more important.
Yeah.
Okay?
I get it. Thank you. And I think when you did the card reading to me just now, I think you were touching on my private life. I'm doing something, I'm going out on a limb here with someone, and I guess that's Spirit's way of telling me that it's okay, he's genuine. That's what I was picking up when you did the cards for me. When you
got the World card ahead, and the World card, as I said, is the best card in the whole deck. It's reversed, so it's not going to be all fireworks in that, but it's definitely going to be nice. Yeah. Maybe it's time to take that. Then maybe it's time to take that chance. It's time for a little adventure.
I've already done that. It is
something out of the ordinary.
It is something out of the ordinary. So when you said that, I was like, oh, he's coming up. No. Okay.
I think you're going to be fine, dear. But remember that Eight of Cups is a big. It's a big thing to say. Accept people the way they are. Don't put any high expectations, because when you put more there than what there is, you leave yourself open to be disappointed. So enjoy yourself. Take the chance. Follow that path. See where it leads. And if it gets uncomfortable, well aware of what what you don't want. And the minute that you find something that's not happening the way you want, you can always step back. Yeah. Remember to protect your own heart.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty nice relationship. It's just different. But it's good. Good.
Yeah. I think you're going to be fine, darling. Taking the chance, I think that's exactly what you need. Okay?
I am taking a chance. Thank you.
All right, darling. Thank you so much for calling in, okay?
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, we have 5 minutes left, and I still have some business to take care of. So we still have some people in the queue, and I really do apologize, guys. But remember, if you want to get a full reading with me, just go to my website, and it's Tarot Readings with Luci. You can set up a session. We'll actually go into a full reading. What we did here tonight was just a taste. It was just a taste of what a full reading is like. I look forward to connecting with you, and I really, really want to thank everybody that took the chance to call in. And, you know, to my little virgins out there that have never had a reading before, I'm so happy I was your first. So let's go to business. And one of the things that we do every single week is the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. Said that right? This week, our Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week is Karen Wolf of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. She is the co-founder at Wolfpack Paranormal Investigation and Research Team. Now, the mission of Wolfpack Paranormal is, their only mission is to provide substantial and legitimate evidence brought forward by possible paranormal haunts or having the experience and knowledge to disprove the client's situation and give them peace of mind. Karen likes the Nashville Predators and the Baltimore Orioles. And Karen has actually commented on our Facebook show page, and she's liked some of our posts. So congratulations, Karen. Keep up the great work with Wolfpack Paranormal, and thank you so much for being a fan. So don't forget, you guys, if you want to be a Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week, just like us on Facebook. Paranormal Review Radio, okay? And maybe you too can be a Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. Okay, guys, I want to thank everybody for calling tonight. Thank you so much. This was so much fun for me. Thank you, Anthony, for letting me do this and giving me the chance to read for everybody. Again, my website, Tarot Readings with Luci, if you want to get a full reading. But you know what? February is here, and it's moving quite quickly. Next week is the 14th. It's Valentine's Day. And what better way to celebrate the day than spending it with the sweethearts of the South? Next Friday night, we will be welcoming back to the show the guys from Deep South Paranormal. We'll be talking to Benny Reed, Keith Ramsey, and Jonathan Hodges to see what the boys have been up to. So, get those flowers and moonshine ready. It's going to be a sweet night. Thank you, everyone, for being the best fans in this world and the next. Thank you, Anthony, for not firing me. So, until next week, Parapeeps, keep communicating and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Paranormal Review Radio.